The arrival of the Zarkath Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant, Earth's flagship, her eyes fixed on the holographic display before her. The vast emptiness of space seemed to mock the small fleet of human ships gathered near Mars' orbit. These vessels, a hodgepodge of retrofitted civilian craft and hastily constructed warships, represented humanity's best, and perhaps only, hope against the impending alien threat. "Status report," Chen barked, her voice steadied despite the tension that gripped her chest. Lieutenant Rodriguez, her second-in-command, looked up from his console. "All ships accounted for, Admiral. Weapon systems are online." But he hesitated, his expression grim. "Our long-range scanners have detected a massive energy signature approaching from the Kuiper Belt." "It's them." Chen nodded, her jaw set. The Zarkath, an advanced alien race that had been steadily conquering worlds throughout the galaxy, had finally set their sights on Earth. Humanity had known this day would come, but the reality of it still sent a chill down Chen's spine. As if on cue, the comm system crackled to life. "Admiral Chen," a deep, resonant voice filled the bridge. "I am High Commander Vexthor of the Zarkath Imperium. Your pathetic collection of primitive vessels amuses us. Surrender now, and we may spare your species from complete annihilation." Chen's eyes narrowed as she studied the alien commander's holographic image. Vexthor's elongated head was adorned with bioluminescent patterns, his four eyes glowing with a mix of contempt and anticipation. "High Commander," Chen replied, her voice ice-cold. "Humanity does not bow to threats. We stand ready to defend our home, no matter the cost." Vexthor's mandibles clicked in what might have been laughter. "Your bravery is admirable, if misguided. Very well, humans. Prepare to witness the full might of the Zarkath." The transmission cut off, leaving an eerie silence on the bridge. Chen turned to her crew, each face a mixture of fear and determination. "This is it, people. Everything we've prepared for. Remember your training, trust in each other, and never forget what we're fighting for." As she spoke, the first wave of Zarkath ships emerged from faster-than-light travel. Sleek, organic-looking vessels that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it, they moved with a grace that belied their deadly purpose. "All ships, battle formations," Chen ordered. "Activate the Nexus Protocol." Throughout the human fleet, pilots and crew members placed their hands on glowing interface panels. A subtle hum filled each ship as the Nexus Protocol, humanity's secret weapon, came online. It was an AI-driven neural network that linked every human vessel and weapon system into a single adaptive organism. The Zarkath fleet opened fire, lances of purple energy streaking across space, but the human ships moved in perfect synchronization, weaving between the attacks with unprecedented agility. "Return fire," Chen commanded. The UES Defiant and its sister ships unleashed a barrage of missiles and energy weapons. To the Zarkath's surprise, the supposedly primitive human weapons found gaps in their advanced shielding, explosions blossoming against the alien hulls. Vexthor's voice boomed across the comm once more, this time tinged with confusion. "Impossible. How are your relics penetrating our defenses?" Chen allowed herself a small smile. "You may have advanced technology, Vexthor, but humanity has something you lack: adaptability and the will to survive against all odds." As the battle raged on, it became clear that the human fleet, though outnumbered and outgunned, was holding its own. The Nexus Protocol allowed them to analyze and counter Zarkath tactics in real time, turning the tide of the battle with each passing moment. But Chen knew this was only the beginning. The true test of humanity's resolve was yet to come, and the fate of Earth hung in the balance. The Nexus unleashed. As the initial shock of the human fleet's resistance wore off, High Commander Vexthor's confusion turned to rage. The Zarkath warships regrouped, forming intricate attack patterns that had spelled doom for countless civilizations before. "Full assault," Vexthor bellowed, his voice reverberating through the Zarkath fleet. "Show these primitives the true might of our empire." Admiral Chen watched as the alien armada surged forward, their ships moving with an eerie, almost organic fluidity. "Nexus, analyze attack pattern and formulate countermeasures," she commanded. The AI's response was instantaneous. Holographic displays across the human fleet flickered, showcasing predictive models of the Zarkath assault. Chen marveled at the Nexus protocol's ability to process and adapt at speeds no human mind could match. "All ships, execute maneuver Theta 9, Chen ordered. The human fleet responded as one, breaking formation in a dazzling display of coordinated chaos. Zarkath energy beams sliced through empty space as the Earth vessels danced between them, retaliating with precision strikes that left alien shields flickering. On the bridge of the UES Defiant, Lieutenant Rodriguez couldn't contain his excitement. "It's working, Admiral. We're actually holding them back." Chen allowed herself a moment of pride, but her tactical mind was already 3 steps ahead. "Don't celebrate yet, Lieutenant. This is just the beginning." As if to punctuate her words, a massive Zarkath dreadnought emerged from hyperspace, its hull bristling with weaponry that dwarfed anything seen so far. "Puny humans," Vex Thor's voice dripped with disdain. "Did you really think your parlor tricks could stand against the full might of the Zarkath? Behold the Worldbreaker." The dreadnought's main cannon began to charge, reality itself seeming to warp around its muzzle. Chen's mind raced, knowing that a single shot from that monstrosity could vaporize half their fleet. "Nexus, all power to forward shields," she commanded. "Concentrate fire on that cannon." Human ships swarmed the Worldbreaker like angry hornets, their weapons barely scratching its reinforced hull. The dreadnought's point defense systems activated, swatting Earth vessels from the sky with terrifying efficiency. "Admiral," Rodriguez's voice was tense. "The Nexus is registering extreme stress on our shield grid. We can't take a direct hit from that cannon." Chen gritted her teeth, watching as the Worldbreaker's weapon reached critical charge. In that moment, an idea struck her, risky, potentially suicidal, but their only hope. "All ships, initiate Protocol Omega," she ordered. "Nexus, divert all non-essential power to the quantum entanglement drive." Across the fleet, crews scrambled to comply, many not fully understanding the Admiral's plan but trusting in her leadership. The Nexus protocol hummed with increased activity, channeling energy in ways that defied conventional physics. As the Worldbreaker fired its devastating weapon, the space around the human fleet shimmered. In a blinding flash, every Earth ship vanished, only to reappear scattered throughout the Zarkath formation. Vex Thor's triumphant roar turned to a howl of disbelief as the humans materialized among his forces, unleashing a point-blank assault that overwhelmed Zarkath defenses. "Impossible." The alien commander raged. "No species has ever mastered quantum teleportation on this scale." Chen allowed herself a grim smile. "There's a lot you don't know about us, Vex Thor. Humanity has been preparing for this day for generations." The battle shifted dramatically. Human ships, guided by the Nexus, exploited every weakness in the Zarkath fleet. Smaller Earth vessels sacrificed themselves to create openings for their comrades, their crews' sacrifice allowing critical strikes against key alien targets. But the tide of battle was far from decided. The Worldbreaker, though damaged, still loomed ominously. Vex Thor, his initial arrogance shattered, now fought with the desperation of a cornered predator. As alarms blared across the UES Defiant, warning of multiple system failures, Chen knew that the next phase of the battle would push humanity to its very limits. The real test of their resolve was only just beginning. The price of courage. The vastness of space was ablaze with the fury of battle. Debris from both human and Zarkath ships drifted silently amidst the chaos, a grim testament to the cost of the conflict. On the bridge of the UES Defiant, Admiral Chen surveyed the carnage with a heavy heart. "Status report," she demanded, her voice hoarse from hours of issuing commands. Lieutenant Rodriguez's fingers flew over his console. "We've lost 30% of our fleet, Admiral." The Nexus Protocol is struggling to compensate for the reduced numbers. The Zarkaf have lost more ships, but they still outnumber us 3-1. Chen nodded grimly. And the Worldbreaker? Damaged but operational. It's retreated behind the main Zarkaf line for repairs. A sudden explosion rocked the Defiant, sending crew members sprawling. Emergency klaxons blared as red warning lights bathed the bridge in an eerie glow. Direct hit to our starboard engine. A young ensign called out, panic edging her voice. We're venting atmosphere in sections 12 through 15. Chen steadied herself against her command chair. Seal off those sections. Reroute power to maintain our shield integrity. As the crew scrambled to obey, the Admiral's mind raced. They had bloodied the Zarkaf nose, but at a terrible cost. How much longer could they hold out? The comm system crackled to life, and Vex Thor's face appeared on the main screen. The alien commander's bioluminescent patterns pulsed with barely contained rage. You have fought well, humans, he growled, mandibles clicking. But your resistance is futile. Surrender now, and I will grant your species the mercy of swift extinction. Chen's eyes narrowed. We've heard that before, Vex Thor. The answer is still no. The Zarkaf commander's 4 eyes blinked in unison. Then you leave me no choice. Prepare to witness the full power of the Worldbreaker. The transmission cut off, and Chen turned to her crew. All hands, brace for impact. Nexus, divert all available power to our forward shields. The Worldbreaker's main cannon began to glow with an otherworldly light, reality itself seeming to bend around it. Chen watched in horror as the weapon fired, a beam of pure destruction lancing towards the heart of the human fleet. But in that moment of despair, humanity's indomitable spirit shone through. Admiral, Rodriguez shouted, the civilian ships from Mars colony. They're moving to intercept. Chen's heart clenched as she watched a dozen unarmed transport vessels move into the path of the Worldbreaker's beam. These were not military ships, but civilian craft piloted by ordinary men and women who had volunteered to evacuate Mars when the Zarkaf threat first appeared. Now, in humanity's darkest hour, they had chosen to make the ultimate sacrifice. The beam struck the civilian ships, their makeshift shields lasting only seconds before they were vaporized. But their sacrifice was not in vain. The Worldbreaker's energy dispersed, its deadly power spent on the volunteers who had given their lives to save the fleet. A stunned silence fell over the bridge of the Defiant. Chen bowed her head, honoring the bravery of those lost. When she looked up, her eyes blazed with renewed determination. Their sacrifice will not be in vain, she declared, her voice carrying to every ship in the human fleet. Humanity has always been at its best when faced with impossible odds. Today, we fight not just for ourselves, but for every race that has fallen to the Zarkaf. Today, we prove that the human spirit cannot be broken. A resounding cheer echoed through the comm systems. Across the fleet, exhausted crews found new reserves of strength, inspired by the selfless act they had just witnessed. The Nexus Protocol, feeding on the surge of human emotion and determination, began to evolve. New tactics and strategies emerged, faster than ever before. The AI was learning, adapting in ways its creators had never anticipated. Sir, Rodriguez called out, his voice filled with awe. You need to see this. On the main screen, data streamed in from across the fleet. The Nexus was no longer just coordinating their actions. It was enhancing them. Weapons fired with uncanny accuracy, shields adapted to Zarkaf energy frequencies in real time, and damaged systems repaired themselves at an unprecedented rate. Chen allowed herself a small smile. Well, Vex Thor, she murmured, let's see how you handle humanity at its finest. The human fleet surged forward, moving with a synchronicity that bordered on precognition. Zarkaf ships, despite their advanced technology, found themselves outmaneuvered at every turn. But the battle was far from over. The Worldbreaker loomed in the distance, its weapon slowly recharging. Vex Thor, his earlier arrogance shattered, now fought with the desperation of one who sees defeat on the horizon. As the two fleets clashed once more, the fate of Earth, and perhaps the galaxy, hung in the balance. The true test of humanity's resolve was yet to come. The heart of the storm. The void of space had become a kaleidoscope of destruction. Energy beams crisscrossed the battlefield, punctuated by the silent explosions of ships from both sides. At the center of this chaos, the UES Defiant led humanity's desperate charge against the Zarkath armée. Admiral Chen's eyes never left the tactical display, her mind processing the ever-changing flow of battle. The Nexus Protocol had evolved beyond its creator's wildest dreams, granting the human fleet a level of coordination that bordered on the supernatural. "Admiral," Lieutenant Rodriguez called out, his voice tight with excitement. "The Nexus is picking up a pattern in the Zarkath fleet movements. There's a vulnerability in their formation, but it's only visible for microseconds at a time." Chen's brow furrowed. "Can we exploit it?" Rodriguez shook his head. "Not with human reflexes, but the Nexus, it might be able to." A moment of silence fell over the bridge as the implications sank in. They were considering handing over complete control of the fleet to an AI, something that went against every protocol and safeguard. Chen took a deep breath. "Do it. Authorize full Nexus autonomy." As Rodriguez input the commands, the ship's systems hummed with newfound energy. Across the human fleet, crews watched in awe as their vessels began to move with impossible precision, darting through gaps in the Zarkath defenses that seemed to materialize out of nowhere. On the main view screen, Vexthor's face appeared, his bioluminescent patterns pulsing with fury. "What sorcery is this, human? No species has ever broken through our eternal formation." Chen allowed herself a grim smile. "It's not sorcery, Vexthor. It's the power of a species fighting for its survival, augmented by technology born from that very struggle." The Zarkath commander's mandibles clicked in agitation. "It matters not. The World Breaker stands ready. This time, there will be no civilian ships to save you." As if on cue, the massive dreadnought's main cannon began to glow with that terrifying, reality-warping energy. Chen's mind raced, knowing they couldn't survive another direct hit. "Nexus," she called out, hoping the AI could understand the desperation in her voice. "We need a solution. Now." For a moment, nothing happened. Then, without warning, every system on the Defiant surged with power. Chen felt a strange tingling sensation, as if every atom in her body was vibrating in sync with the ship. "Admiral," Rodriguez gasped, "the Nexus it's linking us directly with our ships. Neural interfaces are forming spontaneously across the fleet." Chen's consciousness expanded, suddenly aware of not just the Defiant, but every vessel in the human armada. She could feel the determination of each crew member, their fears, hopes, and dreams merging into a collective will to survive. As the World Breaker fired its devastating weapon, the human fleet moved as one. Ships interlocked their energy fields, forming a massive, impromptu shield. The Zarkath beam struck this unified barrier, and for a moment, it seemed the universe itself held its breath. Then, impossibly, the human shield held. More than that, it began to absorb the energy, channeling it through the neural network created by the Nexus. Vexthor's eyes widened in disbelief. Impossible. No technology in the galaxy can withstand the World Breaker. Chen's voice, when she spoke, seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. "You're right, Vexthor. No technology alone could do this, but technology combined with the unbreakable human spirit. That's a force even your World Breaker can't match." With a thought, Chen directed the absorbed energy back at the Zarkath fleet. A blinding beam of light, infused with the collective will of humanity, lanced out from the human formation. It struck the World Breaker dead center, bypassing its shields as if they weren't even there. The massive dreadnought shuddered, cracks appearing along its hull as the energy it had unleashed was turned against it. In a final, cataclysmic explosion, the pride of the Zarkath fleet disintegrated. A stunned silence fell over both fleets. The Zarkath, for the first time in their long history of conquest, found themselves facing an enemy that had not only survived their ultimate weapon, but had turned it against them. As the reality of their situation sank in, Zarkath ships began to break formation, some fleeing, others surrendering. The seemingly invincible armada was crumbling before the combined might of human determination and their evolved AI. But even as victory seemed within grasp, Chen knew the battle was far from over. The Nexus was pushing human biology to its limits, and the strange merger of mind and machine couldn't be maintained indefinitely. As alerts began to sound across the fleet, warning of imminent system failures, Chen realized they were in a race against time. Could they secure victory before the very power that had granted it burned them out? The fate of Earth, and perhaps the entire galaxy, would be decided in the next few crucial moments. The edge of humanity. The aftermath of the Worldbreaker's destruction hung in space like a luminous fog, remnants of the mighty vessel scattering light across the battlefield. But aboard the UES Defiant, there was no time for celebration. Warning klaxons blared as the ship's systems strained under the pressure of the Nexus Protocol's evolved state. Admiral Chen's consciousness, still merged with the fleet's neural network, reeled from the sensory overload. She could feel the fatigue and pain of every crew member, the stress on every hull plate, the flicker of every failing shield. "Admiral." Lieutenant Rodriguez's voice cut through the chaos, both audibly and within the shared mental space. "We can't maintain this level of integration. Human minds weren't meant to process this much data." Chen gritted her teeth, fighting to maintain focus amidst the swirling maelstrom of information. Status of the Zarkath fleet. Disorganized. Many ships are retreating. Others have powered down weapons. But a significant force remains combat-ready. Through the neural link, Chen could sense the confusion and fear emanating from the alien vessels. The destruction of their superweapon had shaken their belief in their own invincibility. Now was the time to press their advantage, but at what cost? "All ships," Chen commanded, her thoughts reverberating through the fleet, "prepare for a final push. We end this now." As the human fleet surged forward, the remaining Zarkath ships rallied around their command vessel. Vexthor's face appeared on screens across the human armada, his bioluminescent patterns pulsing erratically. "You may have destroyed the Worldbreaker," the alien commander snarled, "but the Zarkath Imperium spans galaxies. This is but a setback." Chen allowed herself a grim smile. "Perhaps, but it's a setback that will echo across those galaxies, Vexthor. The tale of how humanity stood against your invincible fleet will spread. How long before other species rise up, knowing it can be done?" For the first time, a flicker of uncertainty crossed Vexthor's alien features, but it was quickly replaced by cold determination. "Then we will make an example of your species, human. If we cannot have your world, we will reduce it to ash." The Zarkath command ship's engines flared to life, on a direct course for Earth. Chen's heart raced as she realized their intention, a suicide run to inflict as much damage as possible. "Intercept course," she ordered, the Defiant and its escorts breaking formation to give chase. What followed was a deadly dance through the debris-strewn battlefield. The Zarkath command ship, though damaged, was still a technological marvel. It weaved through asteroid fields and weapon fire with unnatural agility, always keeping just ahead of the human pursuit. As they approached Earth's orbit, Shen could feel the Nexus Protocol starting to unravel. Crew members across the fleet were succumbing to the mental strain, blood trickling from noses and ears as their minds struggled to process the vast network of shared consciousness. "We can't maintain this connection much longer," Rodriguez warned, his mental voice growing faint. "The Nexus is burning out our neural pathways." Chen knew he was right. Already, ships at the edges of their formation were dropping out of the network, their crews unable to handle the load. But they were so close to ending this threat once and for all. In that moment, Chen made a decision that would be debated for generations to come. "All power to weapons," she commanded. Divert life support if you have to. Every joule of energy goes into stopping that ship. Across the fleet, temperature controls shut down. Gravity generators flickered and died. In the vacuum of space, crews held their breath as the last of their oxygen was channeled into weapon systems. The Defiant shuddered as it unleashed a barrage unlike anything seen in human history. Every ship in the fleet fired as one, their weapons guided by the fading light of the Nexus Protocol. Vexthor's ship, caught in the maelstrom of energy, finally faltered. Its shields collapsed under the onslaught, hull plating vaporizing in an instant. The Zarkath commander's final transmission was cut short as his vessel disintegrated mere kilometers from Earth's atmosphere. As the thread evaporated in a spectacular explosion, Chen felt the last threads of the neural network dissolve. Across the fleet, crews gasped for air as life support systems slowly came back online. The Nexus Protocol, pushed beyond its limits, shut down to prevent further damage to human minds. In the sudden silence, Chen slumped in her command chair, utterly drained. They had won, but at what cost? How many had they lost in those final moments? As reports began to trickle in, the true scale of their victory, and its price, became clear. The Zarkath invasion had been thwarted, but nearly half the human fleet lay dead in space, their crews pushed beyond human endurance. Earth was safe for now. But as Chen looked out at the scared face of her homeworld, she knew that everything had changed. Humanity had proven itself on the galactic stage, but in doing so, had glimpsed the true scale of the universe and the challenges that lay ahead. The war was over. The real work of securing humanity's future was just beginning. The dawn after. In the hours following the battle, an eerie calm settled over Earth's orbit. The remnants of both fleets drifted silently, a graveyard of metal and dreams suspended against the backdrop of humanity's home. Aboard the UES Defiant, Admiral Sarah Chen sat in her quarters, staring at her reflection in a small mirror. Dark circles underlined her eyes, and a thin trail of dried blood ran from her nose, lingering evidence of the neural strain from the Nexus Protocol. But it was the look in her eyes that truly captured the weight of recent events. A mix of exhaustion, relief, and the haunting knowledge that things would never be the same. A soft chime broke her reverie. "Enter," she called, her voice hoarse. Lieutenant Rodriguez stepped inside, looking as battered as she felt. "Admiral, we've compiled the initial reports. You should see this." Chen nodded, following him to the bridge. As they walked, she noted the subdued atmosphere. Crew members moved with purpose, but gone was the frantic energy of battle. Now, there was only the grim determination of those tallying the cost of victory. On the main view screen, a holographic display showcased the aftermath. Chen's breath caught as she absorbed the information. 47% of our fleet. Gone, Rodriguez said quietly. Another 30% severely damaged. We've lost nearly 2/3 of our trained space personnel. Admiral. Chen closed her eyes for a moment, honoring the fallen. When she opened them, her gaze was steel. And the Zarkath. Total retreat. Our long-range sensors show the remaining ships jumping to FTL, heading out of the solar system. We've intercepted transmissions. It seems they're sending warnings to the rest of their empire about Earth. A ghost of a smile touched Chen's lips. Good. Let them spread the word. Humanity is not to be trifled with. As if to punctuate her words, a priority message flashed on the screen. It was from Earth's unified government, calling for an immediate debrief. Chen straightened her uniform, preparing to face the political storm that was undoubtedly brewing. The next few hours were a blur of video conferences, explanations, and tense negotiations. Earth's leaders, while grateful for the victory, were deeply concerned about the methods used to achieve it. The Nexus Protocol was never meant to interface directly with human minds, one stern-faced politician argued. The ethical implications alone. With all due respect, Chen interrupted, her patience wearing thin. Without those ethical implications, We'd all be discussing this from a Zarkath slave camp, if we were alive at all. The debates raged on, but as reports of the battle spread, public opinion began to shift. Footage of the civilian transports sacrificing themselves to save the fleet went viral. Stories of individual heroism aboard the human ships began to circulate. Earth, it seemed, was rallying behind its defenders. As the immediate crisis passed, Chen found herself back on the Defiant's observation deck, gazing at the Earth below. Lieutenant Rodriguez joined her, offering a steaming cup of coffee. "Thank you, James," she said softly, using his first name for perhaps the first time. They stood in companionable silence for a while, sipping their drinks and contemplating the blue marble that had come so close to annihilation. "What happens now, Admiral?" Rodriguez finally asked. Chen took a deep breath. Now we rebuild. We learn. We prepare." She turned to face him, her expression resolute. "The Zarkath are just the beginning, James. We've proven humanity can stand against one advanced species, but there are countless others out there. Some may be friendly, others not so much." Rodriguez nodded slowly. "The Nexus Protocol. Will we continue to develop it?" "We have to," Chen replied. "But carefully. What we experienced out there, that melding of human consciousness and machine efficiency, it's powerful, but dangerous. We need to find a balance." As if on cue, an alert sounded from a nearby console. Rodriguez checked it, his eyes widening. "Admiral, you need to see this. We're picking up an unknown signal, originating from the edge of the solar system." Chen rushed to the console, her fatigue forgotten. The signal was like nothing they'd ever encountered. Complex, layered, and undeniably artificial. "Is it Zarkath?" she asked, though something told her it wasn't. Rodriguez shook his head. "No, this is different. It's... Admiral, I think it's a response to our battle. Something out there saw what we did, and it's reaching out." Chen stared at the oscillating signal pattern, a mix of trepidation and excitement building in her chest. The Battle of Earth, it seemed, was not the end of humanity's journey into the galactic community, but merely the beginning. "Alert Earth's leaders," she ordered, her voice steady, "and prepare a response signal. It's time for humanity to properly introduce itself to the galaxy." As the Defiant's communications array powered up, Chen couldn't help but feel a sense of anticipation. They had faced extinction and emerged victorious. Now they would face the unknown future with the same determination and adaptability that had saved them from the Zarkath. The next chapter in human history was about to begin, and Sarah Chen intended to make sure it was one for the ages. A new horizon. 1 year had passed since the Battle of Earth, and the scars of that fateful day were still visible, both in space and on the planet below. Orbital shipyards hummed with activity, constructing a new generation of vessels that merged human ingenuity with reverse-engineered Zarkath technology. On Earth, cities showcased a blend of familiar architecture and alien-inspired innovations, a testament to humanity's adaptability. Admiral Sarah Chen stood before a massive window in the newly constructed Terran Defense Headquarters, her gaze fixed on the stars above. The last year had been a whirlwind of change, challenges, and unprecedented growth for the human race. "Admiral," a familiar voice called. Chen turned to see Lieutenant, now Captain, James Rodriguez approaching, a datapad in hand. "The Council is ready for you." Chen nodded, straightening her new uniform. A sleek design that incorporated elements of traditional military attire with advanced smart fabrics. Together, they walked into a circular chamber where holographic representations of Earth's leaders awaited. "Admiral Chen," the Council chair began, "your report, please." Chen cleared her throat. "Ladies and gentlemen, 1 year after first contact, I'm pleased to report that Operation Starfall is proceeding ahead of schedule. Our fleet has been rebuilt and expanded, incorporating the best of human and Zarkath technology. The Nexus Protocol has been refined, allowing for enhanced ship-to-ship coordination without the dangerous neural feedback we experienced during the battle. She paused, allowing the information to sink in before continuing. Furthermore, our diplomatic efforts have borne fruit. The signal we received after the battle was indeed from another advanced civilization, the Arcturian Collective. They've expressed interest in an alliance, impressed by our victory over the Zarkath. Murmurs of approval rippled through the council. Chen pressed on, her voice gaining strength. But perhaps most importantly, we've received intelligence that our victory has sparked a wave of rebellions across the Zarkath Empire. Dozens of subjugated species, inspired by Earth's stand, are fighting for their freedom. The galaxy is changing, and humanity is at the forefront of that change. The council chair leaned forward, his expression a mix of pride and concern. And what of the Zarkath themselves? Do they pose a continued threat? Chen's expression hardened. They do. While their forces are stretched thin dealing with the rebellions, our intelligence suggests they're regrouping for another assault on Earth. This time, they won't underestimate us. A tense silence fell over the chamber. Finally, one of the counselors spoke up. "What do you propose, Admiral?" Chen exchanged a glance with Rodriguez before responding. "We take the fight to them. Earth is no longer alone in the galaxy. We have allies, technology, and a cause worth fighting for. I propose Operation Phoenix, a multi-species task force, led by humanity, to liberate the worlds under Zarkath control and dismantle their empire once and for all." The bold proposal was met with a mix of shocked gasps and excited murmurs. The council chair raised a hand for silence. "Admiral Chen, what you're suggesting is unprecedented. Humanity, barely a year into its galactic debut, leading an interstellar liberation campaign." Chen stood tall, her voice unwavering. "A year ago, humanity was unknown, mocked, and nearly conquered. Today, we stand as a beacon of hope for countless species. We've proven that determination, adaptability, and the unbreakable human spirit can overcome any obstacle. Now, we have a chance to forge a better future not just for Earth, but for the entire galaxy." As debate erupted among the council members, Chen felt a tap on her shoulder. Rodriguez discreetly showed her a message on his datapad. Her eyes widened slightly as she read it. "Council members," she interrupted, her tone urgent. "I've just received word that a Zarkath scout ship has been detected at the edge of our solar system. It seems our window for action may be smaller than anticipated." The council chamber fell silent, the weight of the moment palpable. The chair looked at each member in turn before fixing his gaze on Chen. "Admiral, you've led us through our darkest hour. Now, it seems you'll lead us into a new dawn. Operation Phoenix is approved. Godspeed, and may the strength of humanity light the way." As Chen and Rodriguez left the chamber, a palpable energy filled the air. Crews rushed to battle stations, and throughout the headquarters, screens lit up with mission briefings. "Well, James," Chen said, a hint of a smile playing on her lips, "it looks like our next adventure is about to begin." Rodriguez nodded, his expression a mix of excitement and determination. The Zarkath thought they could mock our Relic fleet and crush our spirit. Instead, they awakened a force they couldn't have imagined. Chen's smile broadened as they stepped onto the bridge of her new flagship, the UES Phoenix. All around them, screens showed Earth's fleet preparing for departure, joined by sleek ships of their new alien allies. "Helm," Chen commanded, her voice ringing with authority. "Set course for the Zarkath border. It's time to show the galaxy what humanity can really do." As the fleet engaged their FTL drives, streaking away from Earth in a dazzling display of light and power, Chen couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. Humanity had faced extinction and emerged stronger than ever. They had been mocked, underestimated, and nearly defeated. But in the end, the indomitable human spirit had prevailed. The stars beckoned, filled with challenges and wonders beyond imagination. And humanity, once confined to a single world, now rose to meet its destiny among them. The adventure was just beginning.